We've all been there. We scroll Instagram or Pinterest looking at beautiful interior design, trying to get inspiration or ideas for our own space. But what we actually get is a highlight reel of homes that no one really lives in, and instead of feeling inspired, you are left feeling discouraged. You will never see a beautiful shot on Instagram of an interior designer's work with a phone charger in the corner, but who lives without a phone charger? The more we scroll, the more those flawless images start to become the baseline for what we think a home should look like. There's actually a name for this, and it is house dysmorphia, which, can I just stop for a second and say, one thing that I love about modern culture is that we have a word for everything. I don't know why it pleases me so much, but dang it does. I love it. House dysmorphia is a feeling of dissatisfaction with one's home due to constant, unrealistic comparisons with curated images that are seen in the media. It's the distorted belief that your home isn't good enough unless it matches this invisible standard, an invisible standard set by people who, by the way, are curating these images to look perfect. They don't ever show a kitchen with dishes in the sink, even though we all eat in our kitchens, or a bedroom with a charger by the bed, even though we all keep chargers by our bed. No, these images are taken to look their best, and you can't fault them for that, okay? That is the part and the art of photography. Use perfect lighting, remove distractions, and essentially strip out any sign that somebody actually is living in this home. In psychology, there is a term called upward comparison. As I told you, a word for everything. This is when you compare yourself to someone you perceive as better off, more successful, or above you in some way. And the problem is, access to social media has supercharged upward comparison. Instead of occasionally comparing your home to a neighbor's or a friend's house, people's homes who, mind you, you are seeing in real life, you are comparing your home every day to hundreds of staged, edited, professionally lit interiors. That constant upward comparison makes normal homes feel inadequate, even if they're perfectly normal. And even if you never post your own home, just scrolling past so many perfectly staged interiors will trigger this. You start holding your space against that invisible standard and zooming in on like tiny little flaws that nobody else would ever notice. And the more time you spend comparing, the easier it is to slip into designing for an audience that doesn't even actually exist. House dysmorphia gets into our heads, making us view our own home every day is not good enough, constantly obsessing over these little flaws, but it doesn't just stay in our heads, it actually is starting to change the way we live. One of the ways it is doing this is with something called house shame. Another word, I love it. This is when we let house dysmorphia convince us that our home isn't good enough to do things in. It's not good enough to have people over. It's not finished enough to host Thanksgiving this year. We can't have that neighbor family over for a barbecue because we don't have a nice enough backyard. We start postponing joy in our home until it is what we deem perfect. And this perfect is, once again, all based on unreal standards set by curated images on the internet, which usually, by the way, are just showing us little vignettes of homes. Have you ever noticed that a lot of the stage pictures that we see online, they only show us a little section of a home? Right? A perfect little nook or the art on one wall, but this isn't what our eyes actually see when we walk into a space. We see a whole picture, a whole room. So not only are we trying to live up to an essentially unattainable standard for a perfectly curated image, but it's actually like comparing apples to oranges, trying to make our entire home look like a perfectly curated nook of another home. And that leaves you in a little pickle, doesn't it, right? You're sort of in this perfectionism loop. You fix one area of your house to make it look picture perfect, like some vignette on Pinterest, but then you notice the dining room table isn't perfect. You're left constantly trying to make each little area perfect, and it never really stops because you're trying to meet an unattainable standard of pictures from houses where there is literally no sign of life. And I'm pretty sure that you live in your house. I mean, I think you do. I don't know what the other options are, but I assume that's what it is. The danger of house shame is it makes us hold off on the very things that our homes are meant for, gathering with people that we care about. And those people that are coming over, they didn't come to judge your rug or your throw pillows, they came to connect with you. I recently read an article on Substack that introduced the idea of deep casual hosting. It was written by Catherine Goldstein, and it sort of flipped the script on how we think about entertaining. She said instead of putting on an elaborate dinner party, it's just about making hosting feel real. Goldstein says, don't aim to wow, instead aim to welcome. Don't stress about making the house look perfect. Don't go crazy with the perfect meal. It's as simple as a quick tidy and casual food. The point is not to impress, it's to invite people over into your real life and just connect with people. And what I love most about this sentiment is that when we host this way, we're not just making our own lives easier, but you're also setting the tone for others. How often have you gone over to somebody's house and everything is so perfect that you never really feel relaxed, right? You're worried about messing up the perfectly arranged throw pillows or your kid dropping a snack on the rug. Now picture that you've gone to someone's house and it's not perfect. I'm not saying it's dirty, but there's like phone charges out and there's like a little pile of mail on the counters and the shoes are not perfectly arranged on the shoe rack. And that's exactly what makes you feel at home too. You probably, if I'm gonna guess, feel a lot more comfortable and relaxed in this type of home. You probably feel like you can act like your own self, like you don't need to put on a front. And that's kind of the point. Homes don't need to be perfect to be good. And listen, I'm not saying don't decorate your house. You all know I love some design and color. I love a good wallpaper. God knows I've got plenty of them in my house. I like to style my house. I like making it feel comfortable to me and my style. And I like getting inspiration from images of things that I like to add. Pushing back against house dysmorphia doesn't mean that you're not incorporating any aesthetic into your home. It's just about remembering it's not about making the house look good in a photo, but making the house feel good to be in. I have personally been trying to focus a lot less on designing my home for an audience and more for myself and my family. And so here's a few of the ways that I have been doing this. 1, hosting before it is perfect. Do not, I repeat, do not wait until your house is perfect to host. I assure you that most people are not judging your decor or if your dinner plates match. And if they are and they really care that much about somebody else's dinner plates, then that really honestly sounds like a them problem and not a you problem. Number 2, embrace the signs of life in your home. Shoes by the door, art on the fridge, messes on the counters. Those things are not flaws. Well, there are so many routines and habits that I use in my own home to remove the clutter and the mess that can lead to extra stress in my life. Having a lot of clutter in your space definitely can be stressful. That doesn't mean that I'm constantly erasing every sign that people live here. I mean, let's be honest, I could follow my 4 children around cleaning up after them probably 24/7 and the house would still be messy. That is just a house with children. So again, I'm not trying to live up to some impossible standard. I'm embracing the fact that there is signs of life in my home. 3, letting your home grow with you. I think that we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to finish our homes. I think probably because we see so many finished homes online all of the time. But I have kind of found the truth is homes are never really finished. I always joke with my husband that we'll never be our house will never be done. Even if we get to the end of the to-do list that we currently have someday, there'll be new tasks that we have added. Styles evolve, families grow, and your needs change. You should look at your house as like an ever-going, ongoing project. Never something to be finished, but just something that you're constantly tweaking and tending to. Always something to decorate or design or paint, which is kind of fun when you think about it that way. By allowing yourself to look at the bigger picture of it as an ongoing project, it can kind of help remove some of the stressor of trying to get the house done, because it's never gonna be done, let's be honest. At the end of it all, chasing a home that looks like the ones online is a race that you are never going to win. Those houses, as we have discussed, are curated and staged and filtered, and they're not real life. The algorithm will always find a new trend, and photos will always make things look more perfect than they actually are in real life, because that's the job of a photo. But your home does not need to live up to the impossible standard of one of these photos. It just needs to feel like yours and feel like a space that you can be comfortable in. I would love to hear your thoughts about this in the comments down below. As always, thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Remember to be kind to yourself and others, and I will see you all in my next video.